Welcome to Unresolved, the podcast for customer experience leaders by customer experience leaders. With so much content available on every platform, we appreciate you taking the time to find value from this podcast. And we're going to discuss how different companies view and measure their customer experiences, how they handle churn, and then we're going to dive deeper into unresolved issues that they're facing today. We're specifically calling this podcast Unresolved because so many CX leaders, they're testing with AI, they're rebuilding with AI as the foundation, and every one of us have to reinvent everything that we've known about customer experience systems and processes. You're not alone, so let's do this journey together. Today, we have Sarala Conlan, the Senior Customer Support Manager for Kojo, a construction material procurement platform. And what they're doing is they're helping contractors save on material costs, reduce waste, and increase productivity. Sarala, welcome to Unresolved.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
I want listeners to connect with you and connect with your story. So I'll start with some grounding questions. We'll discuss how you're using AI, your team's role in churn, and then I want to dive into what's unresolved and very specifically what you want to solve for. And I love bringing this up because maybe a listener might have created a solution, or maybe they understand your tech stack and they know how to address it. Or maybe someone in a parallel role might resonate with you, so you can figure this out together.
I love it. I love the support community because I feel like all of us in the support community are very on board with helping each other in that way. So fingers crossed somebody does have a solution they would love to discuss. Yes.
Let's do it. Cool. So, just to start out, can you tell me more about your team, the size, the structure, what your team's responsible for?
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you for the intro. As you mentioned, I lead the support team at Kojo, and Kojo is a procurement platform for the construction industry. We help electrical, mechanical, drywall, solar, and plumbing contractors manage purchasing, invoicing, and ERP integration so they can save time and money on materials. That's our elevator pitch. My team is currently around 6 people. We have a tiered structure, level 1 and level 2 support specialists. They handle our frontline tickets, and then a technical support specialist tier that focuses on deeper integration, troubleshooting, code changes, feature flags, API level work, and engineering escalations. I also handle hiring, training, process design, tooling, and analytics for the teams.
You're just wearing all those hats.
Yes, I wear a lot of hats. Yes. I even to mention, when I first joined on Kojo, I was the only person in support, and I've been able to grow the team to where it is now and the position that I'm at now. So I've worn so many hats over the years, and very proud to have worn those hats and still wear some of them. I don't think about team size the way most people do. Usually the question is asked to me, how many people do you have? Implying that the head count is the metric, but for me, it's not. The metric is what each person is capable of. And that's really important with a small team. A year ago, I had 2 people on my team, and we've since scaled now to handle roughly 1,300 tickets a month, which is more than double what we were doing in late 2024. And we've done that while maintaining strong CSAT scores, which I attribute to the people on my team being genuinely exceptional. I have someone who's earned Harvard SQL certification on his own time during PTO just to level up faster. I have someone who's independently built a ChatGPT powered workaround for document scanning issues to unblock customers while engineering worked on a root cause fix for that. I have someone who independently created ways for our technical support team to implement database changes that now solve a lot of customer issues within 20 minutes instead of 2 weeks when we previously relied on engineering for those changes.
Wow.
These aren't people who wait to be told what to do. They see a problem, they move, and that's become a really big part of our team culture, which I'm proud to say. And for me, the secret to building that small team that punches above its weight isn't hiring people with the most experience. It's hiring people who are genuinely uncomfortable staying where they are, people who will teach themselves API calls so they can bulk fix hundreds of customer jobs without waiting on engineering, and then share what they learned with the team, people who will shadow an engineering deep dive on a Friday afternoon because they refuse to be the person who can't explain the fix. And you can't train that drive so much. You have to hire for it, and then you foster it and you kindle it. And my team sits within the broader customer success structure of our company. We work closely with CSMs, engineering, onboarding, and product, but support is the front door. We're often the first team to know when something is broken, and we take that responsibility really seriously.
Definitely. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that and for showing like exactly what all your team's handling and even a glimpse into how your team's diving into ChatGPT and creating some automations. And yeah, I know like we'll call it 5 years ago, it would always take, if there's something really big, really heavy, really engineering heavy, it takes a lot of time to be able to get some of those things done. And now, gosh, chopping, what did you say, 2 weeks to 20 minutes? Is that what you said?
Yeah, exactly. That's so our standard, engineering time for fixing something that we escalate to them is a 2-week time frame, but support, we don't take 2 weeks to resolve something. When we have the tools, we're able to solve that really quickly, depending on our ticket volume, but always within that day. So that's exciting for us. It's exciting for engineering. It's exciting for our customers.
Got it. Well, speaking about tools, can you share what your tech stack is, what support touches on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, absolutely. So our core ticketing platform is Zendesk. We migrated from a front and intercom use in late 2024, specifically to get better analytics, more automation capabilities, more structured workflows. That migration was a big time investment, and it's already paying off, in my opinion, in terms of structure and visibility into our data, which is huge. Our NPS is powered by Delated, and where I think it gets interesting is the observability layer. We use full story session replays to see exactly what customers experience. That's rage clicks, errors, dead ends. We cross-reference that with Datadog information to understand engagement platforms. So instead of guessing why someone is unhappy, we're actually watching what happened. We also use tools like Launch Darkly, SendGrid, Retool, and Superset during our troubleshooting processes and support. For escalations, we use Jira to create engineering tickets. About 15% of our support tickets require engineering involvement, mostly integration related, and we track everything in both Zendesk and Salesforce on an account level with CSMs. And then there's an AI layer, which is newer. We're using Claude, Anthropic's AI, as well as a software called Unblocked, which connects to our code in GitHub. We use that one as an internal tool for our product knowledge. And we also use a tool called Pluno. Pluno does a few things. It is our deflection agent, and it solves on average 30 to 35% of our tickets without any human interaction, which is something I love. It's really great for our team. And Pluno also operates as a co-pilot for my live agents on their Zendesk tickets, and it uses AI to help them create Jira tickets faster when an issue needs to be escalated to engineering. And Pluno integrates with both Zendesk and Jira. So when a Jira ticket is created with the help of Pluno and there are updates on that Jira ticket, those updates link automatically to this associated Zendesk ticket, reopening the ticket every time there's an update. So those updates are right in front of the live agent that created that ticket. And it's been a game changer for us, quite honestly. And the tech stack conversation in support is usually about which ticketing system you use first, right? And that's table stakes. I think the real question is, can your stack tell you why a customer is upset before your agent even opens the ticket? That's something that I'm really focused on right now, and I think the direction that a lot of these AI tools are headed. So I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, I feel like the way that tooling is nowadays, I feel like you don't need that one all-inclusive app that does everything for you. Like that's not the goal anymore. Really, it's like, where is your knowledge, your internal knowledge, how your processes work? Where is your external knowledge, the one that the customers see, that AI will see? And then, like to your point, where's your chatbot? Where are your AI agents? All of these could be separate tools where that was never a thing before. I feel like even before you had to have engineering connecting everything together. Now that's not even necessary with Claude MCP. And so there's a lot of opportunity. And to this point, like you're using Zendesk, and Zendesk does have the capability that you described with Pluno. So I'm curious, is it a pricing thing? Is it like the pricing tier that you're in with Zendesk that prevents you from leveraging Zendesk AI?
That's a great question. Not to speak poorly on anyone's software, but Zendesk's AI capabilities as they are right now do not measure up to what Pluno is capable of. So that's the main reason why we do not use their AI functionality, and we prefer Pluno. Zendesk does have a Jira app that you can use within Zendesk, if we're thinking about that type of integration. It does not have the same AI capabilities with Jira that Pluno does. So that's already a huge game changer. And then the way that it is operating when we talk about deflection agent, and the accuracy and the depth of information, and the way that it's thinking, using AI, actual intelligence there, the I part of the AI, and the way that it's responding in a deep, rich, and contextual way to customers is not on the same level currently with what we're using with Pluno. And I think what you said with kind of the box that we were put in before, the limitations of those tools, and if you're using this, then you're using this for everything. I agree. I think that that's such a great shift in the way that people are piecing together exactly what they need. Even when we think about Claude coding and the way that people are using it and building apps, right? That's that self-starter mindset. That's taking something that doesn't exist in your standard box and creating what you need, and then piecing that together. And that almost ties into what I'm saying with the team culture too, about what makes a great support agent on your team, is thinking outside of the limitations of what's given to you and just looking at what's needed and creating an efficient solution for that. You're not just taking what's told to you, what's given to you, and these lines that are spread out for you. You're going above and beyond and thinking about it as a whole, as an analytic structure.
Yeah, support specialists are not sitting back comfortable just answering conversations. That's not the thing anymore. Like, it's how are we pushing ourselves? How are we answering things in a different way? And how can we eventually automate what needs to be automated? And how can we make sure that the human level stays human level that needs to stay at a human level too?
Exactly. And then going beyond that and saying, how do I make sure I don't get this ticket again? How do I take this and make a solution so that nobody else experiences this again? And I don't even, I'm not responding to this multiple times over.
Yeah. So let me ask you about Pluno, because I'm not familiar myself with Pluno. Is it pulling from your Zendesk public knowledge base and also from your internal process, like internal wiki of sorts with how things operate?
Oh, great question. Okay, so neither. It pulls from past Zendesk tickets that have been solved. So it looks at it analyzes what the conversation is about and the issue that the customer is reaching out about, and it looks at past tickets that have been solved for that question or that issue, and it looks at how that was solved or the information that was given to the customer, and that's what it bases its responses off of. So it's always evolving, it's always staying up to date, and it's always getting more knowledge the more tickets that we have, which is very nice.
That's cool. So with AI in mind, with automation in mind, are you using Claude Cowork? Are you using Claude Code, or have you had to teach yourself how to use Claude Code?
Yes to all of the above. Yes, I am using both, and I have had to teach myself quite a lot. We do have a weekly meeting office kind of hours here at Kojo where we can all kind of discuss what we're learning and doing with our AI tools, especially Claude right now. And that helps. We have a Slack channel where we discuss as well. So we're all learning together, but it's a lot of self-starting, which I think that probably most people using Claude right now can speak to. I think I said to you before we started recording that my biggest limitation with Claude is that I feel like I'm not thinking of everything that is possible with Claude right now. So it's a lot of just sitting back and thinking about what is possible and expanding my thought process on that, and then learning new things, trying new things, testing what other people are doing, and then rewriting prompts until I get to the right thing, especially with the coding. That one's been a lot more of a learning curve for me because I'm not a developer, and learning about how to connect those things and write those things properly so that I can get what I want out of it has been something new for me, but very exciting.
You've been pumping a lot of questions and things into Claude. Have you asked Claude, what am I missing? Like, what else? Thinking 2027, and
Yes.
even your functionality today, or even functionality you're probably coming out with, what am I missing that I could be leveraging you for?
Absolutely. Yes, I've asked it a lot of times. And I even ask it usually at the end of, when it gives me a response. Even if I like the response, I'll ask it to, what else am I missing here that I didn't ask you about that you can give me more context on? And that's been great, very helpful. Love the responses. Even when I got my technical team access to Claude as well, some of the questions were, how should I be using this for my role, which I gave some examples of, but then also encouraged them to, why don't you ask Claude as well what the best ways to use it for your role will be, and see what it says. So definitely, I think that that's a great way to do it. I had even a troubleshooting situation with a connector that I was having a little bit of trouble getting set up with Claude, and I asked Claude what I needed to do to solve it too. So it's been great to interact with it that way.
That's cool. Have you talked about, has Kojo talked about having like a hackathon? Hey, here's what I'm working on. I don't know how to do it. And then maybe engineering's like, oh, I know exactly how to fix that.
Yeah, we have quarterly hackathons.
Cool.
And right now it's pretty open, to give engineers, you can work on something that's related to Kojo, or you can work on something not related to Kojo. Let's, keep this kind of a very fun culture, sticking to the true hacky mindset. But a lot of them luckily do, for our benefit, focus on things that are Kojo related, which is really nice. And I am very excited to see the next upcoming hackathon where Claude is involved. In some of these. Yeah.
I'm sure we could make this entire episode about AI and automation, and maybe we revisit in the future. But what I would like to talk about, what I'd like to shift over to, is customer churn. And I'm curious. I know that you mentioned that you're alongside customer success, but I'm curious. Like, have you worked out what all support handles compared to the work of customer success, compared to account management? Is there like a handoff for these kinds of conversations post sales?
There is a handoff process with CSMs. After sales, it goes to the onboarding CSM team. From there, they have a handoff process to their regular CSM afterwards. And we do have processes for flagging CSMs when customers are at churn risk and support. But honestly, this is something that I think we're still getting better at, but we have more signal now than we ever had before. I think the most reliable early warning is ticket patterns. When we see customers filing multiple high priority tickets in a short window, for us, especially around ERP integrations, that's a red flag. ERP integration issues are our number one contact reason by a wide margin. And when a customer is stuck on a PO syncing errors or invoice linking failures week after week, that's not just a support issue, that's at that point a retention risk. And we also watch NPS scores closely. When a detractor comes in, it triggers an investigation workflow in Slack. The account owner gets tagged immediately. That's the CSM there. And we now have AI-assisted analysis that pulls session replays and usage data within minutes. So instead of just seeing a number, we see the full picture, right? Was this a product bug, a support experience issue, or an integration blocker that's been festering for them? And we've also started creating dedicated at-risk Slack channels for accounts that are showing churn signals. Those channels pull in support, CS, sales, leadership, and sometimes product or engineering. So everyone is looking at the same information and making decisions together. For example, we had an account where a CSM flagged churn risk, and within hours we had the full history surfaced. It was a large number of integration timeout errors over the past year. There was a key champion departure, and mounting frustration with some of our capabilities in the product. The decision was already firm for that customer by the time that we got to it. So that's the kind of situation where I think earlier signal from support could have made a difference. And that's why I think it's really important now that we're investing in better cross-functional visibility proactively for those types of things.
Yeah, I love that you're using full story. I love that you're able to identify, okay, something's going wrong, but maybe that customer isn't even contacting support. And so I'm curious, you're talking about,
Yes.
you see the volume of emails or even the sentiment of customers. What about the silent ones that don't come in? They don't ask for support. They're just already making their mind up because they're hitting one
Yes.
roadblock after another of what exactly Kojo would be solving for, but it's not. And they're just going to make that decision and never contact anybody. So do you have those kinds of signals as well?
100%.
Yeah.
I completely agree with you. I read an article last year that was talking about reasons why people don't reach out to support. And that's so huge, right? Those silent churns are frustrating because there wasn't a situation where we could say, oh, we could have handled that better. But it's more of we could have handled that better from the start as far as what is the reason they're not reaching out to support. And I think about that deeply as far as, are they just getting so frustrated with the product that the thought of reaching out to support is already frustrating enough? Especially in SaaS and B2B SaaS, these people are using this software for their job. Even looking at something like that in the psychology of it of, hey, I don't want to look like I don't know how to do this. I don't want to report that there's a problem because then there's an issue with how I'm doing my job. That's something that can also go into it. Or thinking about things like, are they having an experience with support where they feel like it's inefficient? There's so much back and forth. That's a common thing in support. Customers, I've even experienced that as a consumer. I feel like, hey, I'm just answering the same question over and over. Or there's just so much back and forth. I just want you to understand my issue right away, with my first message and just help me solve it now. And that's even more pressing in a B2B SaaS situation. They need it solved now because this is their job. I experience that if I ever have to reach out to Zendesk support, I'm like, we got to get this fixed right now. My team uses this to do our job. So I think that it's really important to think about those things exactly like you said, and that has to go into the conversation when we think about proactive support, not just what have we seen people reaching out about, but what have we not seen people reaching out about, what we know are issues that we can solve now. Even thinking about the motivators behind reaching out beyond just what they see in the product, but what they experience when they think about support. Is really big. And it's nice that you mentioned Full Story because you wrote an article that I loved about AI capabilities. And you mentioned, I believe it was Photoshop. I thought about that article recently, yes, in regard to Full Story, because I would love to see Full Story get some really beefed up AI capabilities within themselves at some point. I think that would be so cool to more efficiently help identify those sessions, kind of like what you touched on in that article.
Yeah. So just to talk about what that article was talking about, if you think about Photoshop, if anybody here has used Photoshop, there's so many different buttons, so many functions, and most people learn 5% of what they need to do. Maybe they're editing photos, maybe they're just trying to create a flyer or something, and they only know 5% of the functionality. My proposal was, what if those buttons were removed and just a little prompt, an AI prompt of describing exactly what you want it to do. You tell it, here's the initial picture, or here's what I need generated. And then it would show a history stamp of all the different things that you would do. And you could edit simply by clicking on the history and then going back to it. So just thinking about how to turn tools more proactive instead of, I have to learn every little function of this particular tool. You're literally going back to a prompt and just stating exactly what you want the outcome to look like. And I feel like that's literally what this generation is having to become, like thinking forward about the outcome, thinking forward about how do you describe this? Because again, 5 years ago, I like to refer to 5 years ago because I feel like the world was different 5 years ago. A lot of people didn't know how to describe the step-by-step process of something and then the outcome that they needed. And I'm looking at managers. I'm talking directly to managers here. They didn't know how to tell their employees what they need accomplished because they weren't even quite sure what the outcome needed to be. We just knew we needed to get along the route, and then we'll make decisions later. But I feel like this has completely shifted even the way that all of our mindsets are. And especially as managers, especially as leaders, we have to be really thoughtful about what are we trying to achieve? What is the ultimate outcome? And then what are the steps we got to take to get there? And now we're literally putting it to use while we're chatting with Claude, while we're chatting with ChatGPT. And then now how we're even building our AI agents and building things as well. So I don't know. Yeah, I kind of just went on a tangent there, but that's just, I feel like our mindsets are forever changed because of the way that we're having to learn how to prompt and define the outcomes.
I couldn't agree with you more. Yes, I completely agree. I think there's so much talk, right, about AI's role in support, and how, a lot of leaders are saying, hey, like, at first, when this was first getting big, it's like, of course, AI isn't replacing agents. It's giving them tools to become something more, something even greater, which is so true. And I think that it's exactly what you said, the mindset shift to proactive, not just with support, with product. And I think that, ideally support really informs product in a really major way. So I think that when we talk about, hey, how the product operates needs to be proactive, how support approaches this needs to be proactive, it's a general shift across the board. I couldn't agree with you more.
So with that in mind, and like thinking about going back to the topic of unresolved and how we're having to take our entire process, our mindset of exactly everything that we know about customer experience and customer support, what is unresolved for you in terms of maybe what you're trying to automate, what you're trying to rebuild, but you're kind of at a pause? And I would just love to let you take the floor of like, what is unresolved that you're like, I need somebody to help me unblock and help me solve this?
I am so interested in, with that proactive approach, I would really love to see a way in which we can utilize AI to look at the conversation with a customer in a ticket, scan that information, help identify where the breakdown is for the customer, and look at full story and find that exact moment of breakdown as well, and give to the agent that exact point in the full story session when that happens. So we can look at what did the customer click on and do right before that moment of breakdown, and exactly what are they seeing and experiencing, and having that shown to us right away before we are trying to go through any back and forth with the customer, which creates that type of experience with support that often turns customers away from coming back, and gives them the opportunity to so quickly and efficiently identify and solve the problem right there for the customer. That's huge. That's a game changer. That is the tool that I'm so focused on right now that I would love to see resolved. And then my other one as well is thinking about hiring for that personality type, which I touched on when I first talked to you about, my team and the structure, and what makes my team really special to me is the type of people that I like to have on the team and the culture that we foster. And my current onboarding experience for new agents really helps identify the right personality type that fits into that team, right? But for me, what's unresolved is going beyond that and finding that personality type right away in the hiring process, in that candidate search and in the interviewing process, in that candidate profile. That is where would be the huge game changer, and save so much resources and time to prevent situations where we're hiring the wrong fit when it comes to that personality type that really fits well on my very small but very efficient team.
Well, great. Thanks so much for sharing those unresolved things. Maybe there's like a tagging process when I thought about full story and I thought about, I was thinking about what you were saying. I was thinking through what if there's like a tagging system, or all of these AI assistants and like Granola and all of them, they all have a way to extract that information and give those insights. So why is that data not yet available through full story to then connect with even sentiment and everything, so you could literally tag and track and connect everything together? So sounds like a future request, but maybe somebody has actually achieved this. Maybe somebody has done this with full story.
Please, if someone, I would love to hear, or even, not necessarily using full story, but just a way that someone has been able to achieve that result. Would love to hear about it.
Sure. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, Sarala, thank you so much. I appreciate you for taking the time to speak with me. And I love that you're sharing your amazing customer experience story. And you can connect with Sarala on LinkedIn. That link is in the description. Subscribe to hear more incredible stories in this era of unresolved. Have a great day and a productive week.
Thank you so much.